You ever find yourself wondering what happened in those 400 years between the Old Testament and the New Testament? I mean, that's a long time. Like, to help put that in perspective, that's 150 years longer than America has even been a nation. Think about it. All right, welcome to another 3-minute answers video. That's right, I gotta roll up my sleeves for that. Hey, so we're gonna go ahead and jump right in, but real quick, as a disclaimer, we are talking about like 400 years in like 3 minutes. So, you know, if you're looking for a super detailed video on the intertestamental period, this ain't it, though I should do that. All right, let's go ahead and throw 3 minutes on the clock. All right, we're gonna start off in the year 403 BC. That's the approximate ending of the Old Testament with the book of Malachi. At the time, the Persians pretty much rule over the entire region. Now we're gonna go ahead and jump up to 356 BC, where King Philip II has a son named Alexander, who you will probably know by the name Alexander the Great. Now, King Philip has him tutored under a gentleman who you've probably also heard of called Aristotle. Isn't it funny how people believe that Aristotle was a real person, but he was born before Jesus? Nobody questions that. Now, as Alexander grows up, between the years of 343 BC and 331 BC, he dominates the region. He takes Persia, Palestine, Egypt. He just starts to rule over it all until his military just stops. They're just like, we're done, bro. We're not going any further, at which point he turns around and goes home. But what he doesn't know is throughout that whole thing, he is working God's plan, right? Because he's spreading Hellenism. Everywhere he goes, they're just absorbing that Greek culture, that higher education, and that common language, which is why the New Testament is actually written in Greek instead of Hebrew like the Old Testament. All right, so I'm working on this edit, and in an effort to cram so much stuff into a short amount of time, I feel like I really didn't emphasize the importance that Alexander the Great had. He spread Hellenism, so that common Greek language, and over time the Jews ended up getting spread out more, and that had a huge impact in God's plan and the ability to spread the good news, so the gospel of Jesus Christ after the death and resurrection. Back to the video. Now, in the year 323 BC, Alexander the Great dies at a ripe old age of 32. Dang it, that's younger than I am. Now, he has nobody to inherit his kingdom, right? So as he's getting ready to die, around his bedside, he's got all his generals and everyone there, and they say, who is gonna inherit your kingdom? And he says, the strongest. So everything that Alexandria owns basically gets split up between a bunch of generals, but we're really only going to focus on two. And the first one is Ptolemy. All right, now Ptolemy the First takes Egypt and Palestine and in that whole area and assumes control of the Jews. Now, by the time Ptolemy the Second comes along, he actually builds the Library of Alexandria, just massive library, wants all the books in there, and he wanted the Old Testament translated to Greek, and that's how we ended up with the Septuagint. All right, now the other general I want to talk about actually ends up coming along later after there's been more conflicts and fighting and the territory keeps splitting, and he takes an area north of Palestine known as Seleucid. So now we are up to the year 198 BC, where the Jews, assuming that life has got to be better under the Seleucids, end up switching sides and turning away from Ptolemy. Now, that might seem great at the time, but it wasn't. By the year 169 BC, Antiochus IV is king, who is nicknamed Antiochus the Madman by the Jews, ends up robbing the temple. And then over a period of a couple of years, he just does terrible things against the Jews. He tears down the walls to Jerusalem. He bans Judaism like altogether, and then goes so far as to actually offer sacrifice in the Jewish temple. Now, he shouldn't have done that. He should not have done that, because that was it for the Jews. They ended up leading a revolt under the leadership of the Hasmonean family, also known as the Maccabees, meaning the hammer. And after a couple of years of guerrilla warfare, in the year 164 BC, the Maccabees reclaimed the temple, which is still celebrated as the festival of Hanukkah. Now, by the time we arrive at the year 142 BC, Judah is actually recognized as a free state by Rome, by the way. Now, as the years continue to roll on, we see two new Jewish parties come into existence. One is the Hasidims, which you might know as Pharisees, and the other is the Hellenists, which you might know as the Sadducees. Now, Judah, being Judah, doesn't manage to stay free for too long, because in the year 63 BC, Pompey just basically wipes out the Seleucids and just takes over the entire area and extends its Roman influence over Israel, where it remains up into and throughout the New Testament. Woo! Was that over? Was that 3 minutes? Are we good? So I hope this video was helpful. To see other videos just like it, click that over there. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to read your Bible. Can you just imagine that? Like every general's like, right in front of him. I digress. Sorry.